Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Magically Cruising, the cruise podcast where we share our personal cruise tips and reviews to help you to make the most out of your next sailing. My name's Kieran, an independent travel agent specializing in all things cruise, Disney, and North America, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I write cruise and travel over at Mini Travellers.
Brilliant. And today, Sarah, so obviously on the last episode, we were kind of telling people don't book that cruise, don't go on holiday on a cruise. And what I was thinking this week, because something that I've been thinking about based on kind of our personal cruise choices, and I was invited to a dinner by Disney last night where we were chatting about like what the Disney difference is and what makes Disney so special, which then kind of got me spiraling into a conversation in my head about like, why have I picked the cruise lines that I've chosen to sail with this year? And it hasn't been the same reason. I'm choosing to sail with like Royal, Disney, and Virgin this year, but they're all for different reasons. Sometimes it's because of the itinerary, the region, the destination that I'm doing, and sometimes it's purely just because of the ship. And sometimes those things don't always see eye to eye. Sometimes you have to kind of pick because of the ship is the reason you want to go where you particularly want to sail on a ship, but then the itinerary may not be a dream for you or what you're looking to do. But then sometimes the itinerary is the main reason you pick it and you don't mind going and you'll sacrifice kind of going on maybe your favorite ship because the itinerary is the perfect fit for what you're doing. And it kind of spills into what we were chatting about on the last episode as well. So thought we'd have a bit of a rough conversation about when do you choose for the ship and when do you choose for the itinerary.
Yeah, because I am definitely, as you know, very ship-led, I'd say. Like, I'm going on a cruise in May that I'm not even... Well, I like the ship, but I would have chose a different ship. And I didn't even really want to do this itinerary, but that was because I was going with someone that was really itinerary-led.
Yeah.
And I'm quite laid back about it. But yeah, I think for me, ship first most of the time.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think I'm the same, but then like last year, we did pick an itinerary over a ship, and I don't think for us it turned out to be the right choice. As much as I loved the ports we went to on our Princess cruise, I absolutely loved every single port. It was a dream itinerary, but the ship just didn't hit all the nails for me type of thing. I didn't really feel like it was the right ship for me. And that's what kind of got me starting to think about this, of sometimes I've got to go with my gut and pick, either it's the right ship for me and I'm going to a region that maybe is new or maybe the itinerary isn't perfect. Or sometimes you just got to trust your gut and go, well, the itinerary, that's it, your destination. You have to find like a happy medium and maybe compromise a little bit on your dream ship because you're going to an itinerary that you kind of really love. And what kind of really set me off was, I say this about Disney. Disney's my favorite cruise line, but the reason why we don't book them all the time is their itineraries aren't as involved as other cruise lines, if you get what I mean. So other cruise lines will go into more exciting, more kind of boutique ports, whereas Disney's tend to be quite, I hate the word pedestrian, but that's kind of what they are. They keep to kind of the headline ports, and sometimes you'll get more sea days than you will get port days just because they're not my go-to for kind of port enrichment and immersion. The cruise we're doing literally next month is from Singapore on the brand new Disney Adventure, and there are no port days. It's literally 3 days at sea, and it just seems really odd to go all the way to Asia and not actually see any ports. And the whole point of the cruise is to go on the latest Disney ship, and it's just weird to kind of do that and not really think about kind of, well, where are we going? What ports are we doing? It's like, no, none.
I think the thing is that it's a very family-led cruise line, isn't it? And I remember when our boys were little, we didn't go far. We'd got off the ship, we'd have a wander. We didn't, the ship is the destination, definitely when you're families. And obviously they're catering towards families. And I know it's not just families. I know there's lots of adult couples as well. But these headline ports, as you know, I love them and that's probably why I'm really good at finding something new to do every time, because I like the big bling of the ship or whatever the ship has to offer, plus having those choices where some of the ships that are going into the smaller, more boutique ports just don't appeal to me at all. And I think that unless it was like, I don't know, Viking, then I'd be all over that. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I don't really want to go on an old ship anymore. I've completely changed my mindset.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, it's something that I think as well. Like one of the reasons why I've fallen in love so much with Virgin Voyages, they seem to be like this happy medium because they have their mid-sized ships. They're not the biggest ships in the industry, but they are very new, contemporary and boutique style ships. They do tend to go to kind of really interesting ports. And I've loved kind of some of our recent sailings with Virgin where we have gone to like Ajaccio. I keep banging on about Ajaccio, why I love it so much, but it's because it's not a port that appears on every cruise line's itinerary. Some of the large ships don't go there, but Virgin being a happy medium do. They go to interesting destinations, but they're not like the biggest of ships either type of thing. So I don't know, it's an interesting one. And like our Alaska cruise is a prime example. We did pick a particular itinerary. It's the only one of the year where they're sailing from Vancouver, and it's the longest one where they're doing 10 nights rather than the 7-night round trip type of thing. We purposely picked that itinerary. So we're not going at like the peak Alaska season where you're
Mm.
more likely to see the best wildlife, because it is the shoulder season. And that's the
Yeah.
trade-off we made, because the itinerary on that case mattered more.
Yeah. And that's next year when we get around to booking it for the Canada cruise. And that is about, but then we're lucky because it's independence of the seas. But this
Mm.
year we're going on Odyssey, and it's a great ship. I loved it. But don't get me wrong, I wish I was going on Harmony.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and I was gutted. I didn't go on Harmony. But I know that I'm going to have an amazing time. But that was really one that I didn't really get much choice in. But yeah, it's a real trade-off sometimes, isn't it, of what do you prefer?
And it's tough, isn't it, to know whether you made the right decision as well, because even when you're in that decision, like, was this the right choice to make? You never really know. And I think it's difficult to advise people on what you're doing, but I think it's
Mm,
working out what the priorities are and kind of reconciling what's important to you type of thing. The reason why we picked the adventure wasn't Singapore, sorry. We were going to Shanghai. We were going to China, not to Singapore. So it wasn't really that Singapore was a destination that was like why we wanted to sail the adventure. It just happened to be that we were that side of the world already, and then the dates worked out that we could join the
mm,
Disney Adventure type of thing. And now we have extended, and we're doing, I think, a 3-4 night. I can't remember the exact time, but we've got a good couple of nights now in Singapore post cruise to explore it type of thing. And it's become now that is the destination we're going to
mm.
explore for a couple of days, as well as adding in Singapore. Shanghai, sorry, I keep getting the two wrong. Both of them begin with an S. Does my ADHD and nightmare all the time? Because everyone's like, "Where you go to?" I'm like, "Singapore or Shanghai? One of the two." Um, I do know the difference. My ADHD and my brain doesn't slow down quick enough. But yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, that one, because, like I say, we're going for the ship. Purely, we're going for the
Mm,
ship. It's the brand new ship by Disney. Nobody knows much about this ship, and I'm quite excited for that fact as well, that we're going to be some of the first people to do it. But it is odd thinking we're going all that way, and it's a 3-night cruise to nowhere, which I wouldn't do. I really do them close to home,
yeah,
let
yeah,
alone doing that.
yeah.
That's so far away.
It'll be interesting to see if it's a different concept in terms of, like, I would never again, even if I had a gun to my head, would I do a 3-night cruise out of
Mm,
Southampton? Unless it was an inaugural, which this is,
yeah.
but yeah, I wouldn't book. I just wouldn't do it. But I wonder if that's a different concept.
Do you get me? And that's what I'm interested in as well, because I
Yeah.
generally don't know. Because I've always said to you, we've both been quite vocal on this podcast that
Mm,
short cruises are not for us. We're more like, 5 nights or more territory type of thing. So it is odd to me that we're doing this and we're doing such a short cruise. I'm just, I don't know. I think because there's so little that's known about it at the moment, I think that's where I'm getting excited by it. We're going to be like Disney themselves. The ship sails in less than 20 days, I think it is. I think it's the 10th is the first sailing of March,
mm,
and we're filming on the 24th of Feb. So like, there's very little information about this ship. Nobody really knows much other than concept artwork, and we don't really know how character dining is going to work, character meet and greets. And I think that's quite exciting, to be honest, to kind of go on something that's
yeah,
completely fresh eyes. And even
yeah.
in my situation where I sell this stuff every single day, even I don't know what is going to be on this ship. And that's quite novel, because normally I know the ins and outs of everything because I have to sell it on a daily basis.
And surely it's going to be more of people going on because they're Disney fans, they want to see a new ship. They're not going on
Hmm.
because it's a cheap weekend booze cruise, because
No.
it's not. So I think it's going to be a different crowd.
Oh, totally. It's very, like you say, it's family as well. Disney's very family-led type
Mm,
of thing. So there are going to be a lot more families, which by its nature calms down the drinking. There is no adult-only areas on this ship as much as there are on the rest of the Disney fleet as well. So that's going to change as well, the nature of like the adults who are going to be on board. I do think Disney attracts a bit more of a premium crowd. And I don't say that in a snobby way. It's just the price point
mm,
ultimately alienates a lot of people who are looking for a cheap getaway. It's not a cheap weekend away type of thing. Really, the price on this ship is, if you book it early enough, I think we paid just over 1,500. I think it was 1,650-ish for a 3-night cruise and an ocean-facing balcony. So the prices are really good. But a lot of that comes down to, and the same happens on Spectrum as well, and I learned this from Spectrum, the Asia market books very differently to how the Western market books. The Western market is very kind of book early, get the best cabins, get the best availability. The Chinese and Asian market are very much last minute. And I said this to a
mm,
Facebook group. They were like, "Oh, the ship's quite empty at the moment. There's a lot of cabins available." And I was like, Asia and China book literally 2-3 months before. And
mm.
literally now we're about a week or 2 weeks away, and the ship's sold out pretty much for the first 2 months.
I'm really excited to see it. I'm looking forward to it, to seeing what,
Mm.
because I've never been on Disney, but when one of my cousins went on, they fell in love with it. So
Mm.
I don't think it's something I'd go and book now. I don't know, because I don't know if Chris would be all over that, but I'd love to go and just experience it.
I think this is a good one though, and I think like we'll do a bit of a deeper dive on it afterwards. But I think if you look
Mm,
logistically where it is in the world as well, the fact that it's in Singapore, it's a great jumping off point for exploring Asia. So whether you
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to do a multi-center and do like Thailand, whether you wanted to do like the 2 or the 3 Asia Disney parks, go to Tokyo, Shanghai, or Hong Kong Disney, and then do the ship, I think it's going to be in a great location to kind of explore a multi-center holiday
Mm,
around Asia, which I think is going to be really successful for them once more and more people sail it and get an idea for it. I think because she was so heavily delayed, the marketing cycle is a bit behind where it should be. But I'm actually expecting her to be incredibly successful. They've spent a
yeah.
lot of money on her to make her, high end, and all the feedback from people who've been on the shakedown cruises, preview cruises, they've all said the ship's incredible, but nobody's allowed to share any information yet about why she is. But the initial feedback, everyone's very excited for this ship, and I think as soon as she starts sailing and the media starts coming out about it, I think people will start going like, well, how can I get there? But make that unusual 4 night, 3 night cruise to nowhere thing also a part of a bigger holiday for us, at least anyway, come from the Western world, because we're not going to go for a weekend cruise and then fly back long haul. It's like a 13-hour flight for a 3-day cruise. Not going to happen, is it?
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, obviously, it's going to be massive for the Chinese market and the Asian market. But like for us, it's like for a family to go there and do a cruise is a really big expense.
Yeah.
But for couples, it's doable, or it's more
Yeah.
doable, and it's more attractive. I'm just really looking forward to seeing the spaces that for adults that you're going to enjoy when you go on, because that might convince Chris that, because I think in his mind it's just all characters, and I don't think it's going to be. I mean,
No, I
obviously
think
it is,
it'll
but it is. Sorry, trying to
No, 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 no. We were
brain
talking
dump.
literally. There's a conversation we were having last night about like Disney, how Disney is Disney type of thing. Is it too Disney, and how is it subtle? Is it
I love
classy? And
Disney.
it can be. It can be both. It can be very classy, and it can be very elevated, and you're getting a premium, Disney experience that you get from kind of the high end Disney resorts. But it can also be fun, playful,
Mm,
colorful, and over the top as well. Both things are right on Disney ships as well. So I do think this one, like I say, though, could be a good entryway into trying the Disney experience because it's a
yeah.
new destination and an exciting part of the world for us at the moment. The demand is higher than ever for Asia. More and more people are looking to Asia for cruising,
Mm,
just because I think it's not the Caribbean's been done to death, but it's just people want somewhere new and exciting. And I think
yeah.
with modern social media and modern information, I think it's now less intimidating than it was 10 years
Mm.
ago to look at, sailing and cruising around Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, all those regions. I think it's quite exciting. And I love now learning more and more about it and sharing it. And more of my customers are asking now to go that way instead of going to the Caribbean because they've just done it so many times.
So, can you just explain the visa thing? Because that's not something we've discussed on the
No.
podcast.
Well, since I did my trip anyway, it's all changed for us in the UK anyway. So I can't remember if America includes this or not, but definitely as of literally last week, it changed now, the rules in the UK. So if you want to visit China, this is now. Back in the day, you had to do a transit permit or get a visa, one of the two basically. And the transit permit, you had to come in from one country and leave China to go to another country. You couldn't do a round trip from the UK and back basically on the transit permit. You had to fly in to say from the UK and then go to somewhere else in the world, basically. You couldn't go straight back. Now that's changed. Now you can go visa free for 30 days to China without any problems whatsoever. So we're really lucky now. We've planned our whole trip with the transit permit in place, but we don't need to worry about it. So it
Mm.
frees up so much more flexibility to do a multi-center and fly into, Beijing, go off and explore, and then get a return trip back to the UK if you wanted, rather than having to trick the system basically to go in direct to come home. No visas needed either. I think there are still some countries, but most of Europe now and Australia for sure are on the 30-day visa-free system.
Mm. And I suppose this is a prime example of the topic of the podcast, which we've managed to keep to so far, of where you're choosing to ship over itinerary,
Yeah.
but then you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
making it into something else. And that is a really great argument, actually, of you're still doing the land thing, you're just doing it differently.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're picking a mixture. I think we're going for a happy medium in this case. Like the ships we're picking now for our trips this year. So where is it, March, we're doing the adventure. So we're flying into Shanghai, going to Singapore, doing the adventure, and then spending time in Singapore, coming back. But then in October, November time, we're going to Shanghai again. We're doing Spectrum of the Seas, but we're particularly picking that one because it's a repositioning. So she goes
Right.
to the winter season down to Hong Kong. So we picked the Repo for 5 nights, where she's doing a couple of night stays in South Korea and then going down to Hong Kong. And we're ending in Hong Kong and doing Hong Kong Disneyland and a couple of days in Hong Kong as well. So we kind of picked it because I know I love Spectrum of the Sea. She's a great ship. Is she my favorite Royal Caribbean ship? Absolutely not. But she is a lovely ship to sail on in that part of the world type of thing. And she's a great choice because of the way she's been built for that market. So it's going to be really great to kind of go on board. But it was just the itinerary bridged what we were going to do. We were looking at maybe flying into one and flying out the other
Mm.
one. But we were like, for not much more, it is more because we booked a suite. Because it's our 10th anniversary. So that's
Oh,
why it's a bit
amazing.
more than we were planning to spend. But it is, for not much more than flying anyway, we're now doing a 5 night cruise. And originally we were going to Japan, but we're now going to South Korea instead. So I'm really looking forward to that. But again, that's a nice happy medium whereby it's a really nice contemporary ship. She's brand new. She's going to great ports, great destinations. She fills the bridge between kind of China and Hong Kong for us to get and do those 2 Disney parks as well.
Yeah. So there's so much to see, I suppose, on that part of the world, isn't there? That because it just for a lot of people, it's all very new, and it seems to be the trend at the moment.
Totally. My inquiries, and since I've written all my guides and I got invited to go, people are all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork left, right, and centre, like, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that, but I didn't know how to." And the demand is strangely high, which is why the timing of Disney buying this ship and launching
Mm.
this ship is very, very telling. And the fact that Royal Caribbean are pushing now their Asia itineraries, Celebrity are pushing them. Princess have always done really well. Norwegian Cruise Line have always done really well in Asia as well. There's more and
Mm.
more demand now, and I think the ships they have typically always been kind of maybe the older ships in the fleet because it was always a smaller
Mm.
pool of people who wanted to go to that market. But I think what you're seeing now, and this is happening across the board, but I think the cruise lines are putting newer ships in those markets because the type of clients that want to go aren't your kind of silver surfers, your sunsetters. It is
Mm.
the younger demographic now as well, the millennials down who are now wanting to go to these regions. And a cruise is a great
Mm.
way to see those parts of the world because you get your handheld a little bit exploring all these regions.
But then for me as well, there's the other thing of I just don't think I'll ever get bored of America. So there's so many ports I still want to go. There's ports I want to go in Canada, and so it's just hard, isn't it? Because there's so many places to travel. We're so lucky.
Definitely, and that's the tricky thing. And I'm quite glad we've changed anyway. We've changed and gone Asia this time around because it's all new and exciting. But there's no denying that. It's things like, right, this is where this episode came about. Virgin Voyages would be my top choice because, as I've mentioned before, it's that happy medium between a good sized ship, the
Mm.
type of contemporary ship that I want, but they don't always offer the itineraries I want. They don't offer anything in Asia, not at all. So, like, in that case, my usual go to cruise line that I probably would choose above all others doesn't cover that part of the world in the slightest. So I have to look kind of then, and this is like a
Yeah.
first world problem of, oh no, a cruise line I like isn't going. So I have to pick another cruise line that I like. I think these are first world problems. But it is just a case of like, my top choice isn't available. So I'm having to compromise slightly because I want to explore this part of the world. There is a limit I have where there are certain brands of ships that I won't go on. And I would choose not to do a cruise with certain size of ships and
Mm.
brands because they don't appeal to me. So I won't choose the ship because the itinerary isn't enough of a draw, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Sorry,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
pull me into that region. I'm quite happy that I'm lucky that Royal have this incredible Spectrum of the Seas, which is a very modern contemporary ship, and then you've got obviously this brand new Disney ship doing it as well, covering some of the regions I want to explore in Asia. Is there anywhere in the world, right, that you would happily go on a ship that maybe wouldn't be your first choice? Because you want to explore that part of the world. Do you get what I mean? Like you very much do. I feel like when we chat together about it and work together, that there's a line that you will hit where it's a case of like I'm not willing to do it. Speaking of like your last trip, basically to San Francisco. Sorry, that trip we were
Mm.
talking about, whereby like you were trying to make it work on a cruise, but it just felt like the two things didn't come together. You couldn't find a ship
Mm.
that you liked, but you also couldn't find an itinerary that you liked. And I felt like that was like, at what point did the one win over the other where it was like, do you know what, that's the tipping point for me?
I think I did find a ship I liked. I just didn't know. I just didn't trust that we was in. Or not trust. I didn't think we were in San Francisco for long enough.
Yeah,
And I think for me, that time it was like itinerary won over, and there was just no one that was really doing what I wanted to do. And then
yeah,
I think you've got to not try to shoehorn it, haven't you? And think, right, okay, well, on this occasion, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go and do the land. And actually, I am super excited. I'm
yeah,
really, really excited about it. It's just a different way to travel, isn't it? And now I'm thinking, oh, do I want to do a Florida road trip and do that
mm,
and maybe then cruise after. But then I also love the convenience of unpacking once
Yeah.
and trusting somebody else to do the driving, and you're having your dinner in, that what you can trust for your food. You're not looking for restaurants, and I think there's a lot to be said, and it is definitely cheaper. We're definitely spending a lot more than we'd have spent on a cruise.
Yeah. Yeah,
A
totally.
lot more.
Well, this goes back to, right, so Alaska. So we're doing Alaska in May, and we've booked Virgin Voyages this year.
Mm,
And my first ever time doing it was with Holland America. And I didn't have a bad time on Holland America. I'm just going to put this out there, right? I didn't have a bad time on Holland America. However, it didn't satisfy everything that I love about
mm,
cruising. The nightlife just wasn't my cup of tea. The entertainment wasn't my cup of tea. And I did constantly go, I'm having a wonderful time. The ship's beautiful. The food's great. The service is great. I can't fault it. But there was also part of me that felt like I would enjoy this more if I was with a cruise line that maybe I prefer. However, there's no denying that Holland America and Princess have the best itineraries in Alaska. And I'm still to this day, like I go to Alaska in 3 months' time type of thing with Virgin. We're spending a lot of money to do it with Virgin, and I'm happy with what we're doing. But there is part of me, and I just done an event now with Titan Travel with Holland America, and I kept thinking about like there's a reason why Holland America and Princess are thought of as the go-tos for Alaska because they have the best itinerary. They have
mm.
access to Glacier Bay, and I'm not struggling. I'm happy with the choice, but I can't deny that there's this little like niggling thought in the back of my brain of just like, is the right way to do Alaska sometimes compromising on the ship experience?
Yeah.
Because certain brands have better itineraries, they have better access to the prime downtown berthing ports. And when you're doing somewhere so iconic as Alaska, is there a
Mm.
better way to do it by, going with the brand that has pretty much dominant in that region or not? And that I guess is things like that where this conversation comes into it of what's the right choice. And until I do what I don't know, it's going to be interesting to come back actually and reflect on that thought about, was it the right choice to go with Virgin, where I know I enjoy more of the ship, the nightlife, the vibe on
Mm.
board, the ambience and the demographic. But then did I feel like, oh, I didn't actually, we were like, we're tendering in Juneau was a prime example. And when I told Tom's America this, they laughed at me. And they were like, you're tendering in Juneau. You do realize you're going to spend most of your time getting on and off and tendering in. Whereas they're literally smack bang in the town centre, right across from
Yeah.
where the excursion desks, like, and they were saying like, yeah, you're going to have fun on that one, aren't you? And I was like, yep, that's one thing I'm not looking forward to, tendering in Juneau. But then like NCL, I think, don't even dock in Juneau. I'm pretty sure one of the ports is Juneau or somewhere else. They dock outside down the road and you've got to get a bus into downtown Juneau.
That's it, and I suppose that's the downside of the bigger ships these days, isn't it? And some of the ships, if like they're just pushing them further and further out, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's watering down your experience, and then the trip almost does become the ship.
Do you get me?
Be-
That's the prime example of where how do you reconcile which one you go with? Do you go because you want the better ship experience that is more your vibe, more your atmosphere and the things you
Mm,
love about cruising? Or is it a case of like, but in a destination like Alaska, the amount of time you're on land to explore and get out there and explore everything matters. It makes a big difference. And having Glacier Bay is incredible. It's definitely it's gonna be interesting to do a different glacier and see how I feel about it. But there is a part of me that is gutted we're not gonna do Glacier Bay.
is there much difference? Sorry
That's
about
the thing,
my
I don't
ignorance,
no,
but
no,
I've
no.
no interest
No.
because it's cold, so it's not even on my radar. So
It is gonna be something that I can't wait to try. This is why the flip side of this conversation is I'm excited to try somewhere different to see is
mm,
it actually that big of a deal. But it's just only because I've just recently done some extra training with Holland America again on Alaska and Glacier Bay, and I was looking at my pictures of Glacier Bay, and then I was looking at pictures of Hubbard's Glacier where we're going to, and whilst they're both glaciers, you get to see them. There is something special about Glacier Bay. It's like a private nature reserve, basically. Only 2 ships a day are allowed into it. No 2 ships are in there together at the same time. You kind of sail
right.
past each other as one goes in and one comes out. Um, and it's just such a special experience. It's so calm because it is in a fjord, so the water's so still.
Mm,
It's just a really unique experience. And Holland America pretty much have got the whole season sewn up. So it's either Princess or Hal that are in there.
right.
Um, I think Virgin don't go anywhere near it. Disney, I thought they did, but Disney don't. They go to a different glacier again. Royal don't go there, and I don't think Celebrity go to Glacier Bay either. They go to Hubbard. So it's going to be very interesting to see like how much will I feel like I've missed out on that experience. It's one day of like a 10-night cruise, so I'm sure I'll survive. But it's going to be interesting to see how that
Yeah.
impacts like how I feel about Alaska as a region, and will I now come back go in like had a nice time with Virgin, but Holland America is the best way to do it.
And I suppose it's the old Venice thing, isn't it? It's like we actually cancelled a cruise because the thought of the grief getting from Venice to that cruise port, I just thought, and I'm glad I did because I've read the people that just weren't happy with the whole situation since. But if you was cruising out of Venice, you'd be all over that. And I get why you're not, and I think it's the right thing that ships aren't. But maybe that is an argument for doing a river cruise if you wanted to do that because you're going to stop in Venice.
Do you get me?
And the conversation I told you about today about the lady in America that emailed me about going to Germany, and she was asking questions about when I did my land tour in Germany quite a few years ago. And I wrote all the tips and given lots of advice. And then I thought, oh, why doesn't she do a river cruise? So then I added a link in from Amma Waterways and said, this is what you really want to do. If budget doesn't matter, then this is the easy way to travel Germany. And it's beautiful. I mean, it was adorable, wasn't it? It was like the castles and the scenery. And that is a prime example there of you've just maybe got to go a bit more boutique sometimes, haven't you?
I think it's a very personal thing. Only you will really know what matters to you. And that's where like I'm very blessed to travel quite a lot, and I still, to myself, am still struggling to reconcile the reasons why I'm doing my Alaska cruise with Virgin was a knee-jerk reaction to loving Virgin anyway, so I'm fine with it. But it was just like I know the nightlife wasn't my cup of tea on Holland America, so there was part of me that was like, I need to do this Alaska again, but with a cruise line where I'm going to enjoy every minute of the day, not get back on the ship and go like, my food's great, but I'm bored. Like I want something to do tonight. It's going to be interesting to do that now and see, like, will that make it and go, like, that was the perfect bucket list cruise? Or is it going to be, like I say, I'm going to feel a bit like, oh, but that tendering process was a nightmare. And birthing a duck, I forgot the letter, but, like, in Ketchikan, there's so many different berths. And the one that all the other cruise lines get is literally like a 10-minute walk into the town centre. Whereas, again, Holland America, you step out on the ship, you're in the town centre. Small things like that make a big difference to whether you enjoy something. And it can make a big difference to your holiday.
Is there a bus, though? Are they taking you in and out on a bus?
I don't know until I go there. Generally, they don't because it is walkable and you're on the outskirts of the town. You're on the bottom end of the town rather than in town. And Celebrity dock in terminal, I think it's E in Ketchikan. So it is what I walked down to Celebrity to see the ship because I was like, oh, I forgot what ship it was. I've got pictures of it, but there was a Celebrity ship in. So I made Phil walk to it. It's not far, but you are definitely trekking. And I think Celebrity did bus people back and forth to the downtown area, but that's obviously depends on the cruise line. Virgin typically do bus people in if you have to walk far, but they haven't shared that yet. But every time they've bus, they've never told us beforehand anyway. They just tell us on board the ship that there is a bus available. But like, if it was a budget cruise line like MSC, I can guarantee you they wouldn't be busing people in. They'd be charging tickets to bus you into the town centre. Like,
I mean, we like walking, so the walking wouldn't bother me, but and I suppose it's going to be a younger crowd on Virgin anyway, so in theory.
Well, hopefully. Well, I say hopefully. That sounds awful. Let me take that back. That's my personal bias kicking in. That is my personal bias kicking in type of thing. No, you don't know because Alaska is a very mature market. It's not to say that families don't go. We saw loads of families on Holland America as well, but it is a very mature market at the end of the day, Alaska. So it'll be interesting to see what the demographic is. I've heard that Virgin's demographic is getting older because the price point's going up. So a lot of the millennials that were in the early pioneering period of Virgin are not going on it because they just can't afford it as much as they could before. So it'll be interesting. That's what I'm excited for as well, just to see if that has changed. Because all the words I'm hearing the Virgin demographic is creeping up a little bit.
I still am not intrigued at all, really.
Really?
I'd like to go on and try the food, but it's all the red. It's just the red. It's too much red.
Too much red.
Yeah, I mean, Disney, yes, this red and blue and gold, and it's different, but I just feel like it's like.
I was literally thinking yesterday, and I guess because I was just being showered with love by Disney, but I was like, I think if we do Alaska again, I think I'm going to do it with Disney next time.
Yeah, see, I'd want to do it with Disney. That's who I'd want to do it with if I did it. I've never done Disney before. I think it'll be a battle getting Chris on there, but then I'm not doing it because it's cold, so it's a ridiculous conversation. I'm not going. I have too many warm places. I mean, I don't even sunbathe, but I just like the feel. I live up north. I'm taking the sun when I can get it.
Yeah.
Because we don't get much of it. Well, saying that, we had a good summer last year, but.
This is the thing, though. I think I'm giving myself a false placebo because we had glorious weather. We had one bad day when we went to Alaska last time, so I'm deluding myself of like it's gonna be lovely, like
Yeah.
gonna be on the like literally. There's pictures of us wearing t-shirts on the balcony in Alaska, and I was like, everything I was told, this isn't possible. So I think I'm going in with this false like we had a really good week of weather, and I'm telling myself it's gonna be the same. And knowing our luck, it'll probably be grey, wet, and cold the entire time. But, again, this is why it's important you have to sometimes go back places as well if you enjoy them to see them because it's not always going to be the same. Like I've done the Med so many times and the one week we did, it rained the entire week.
Yeah, that was bad luck, wasn't it? That was really bad luck. But, I mean, like when we did the fjords, it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, it was breathtaking, but it
Mm.
just drizzled all the time, and everyone said we had a
Yeah.
good week, and that was in July. And, I mean, I remember that poor man with his umbrella while me and my
Yeah.
friend Sue were sat in the jacuzzi with cocktails, going and getting our cocktails, and it just well, I had a really good holiday, but I didn't come back
Yeah.
thinking, "I can't wait to get into that drizzly weather again." Just
So I was saying to Dizzy as well, like on the fam trip we did, it rained the entire time we were in the Norwegian fjords.
mm,
And I had a lovely time. It was a bucket list trip for me, and I did love it. But I did sit back and think, like, this isn't warm weather cruising, is it? And I know you can. I've seen pictures of customers of
mm,
mine who've gone, and it's been glorious, and they've been sunbathing in the fjords.
yeah,
And I was like, good. I'm glad you had a nice time. It rained day to day, every single day on ours. Like I don't know. Again, that's the risk though. You've got to try these things sometimes. If you
yeah,
enjoy the region, it's always worth going back. You
yeah,
keep saying it, the Med. You can go back to these ports time and time again, and the weather can make a difference. The season can make a difference. And
mm,
I'm a big advocate of this as well. We're going to Shanghai, sorry. We're sailing in March, where it's going to be cherry blossom season, hopefully. That's where
mm,
our group cruise is. But then I've also sailed in October. And when I went the first time, it was humid as hell. It was hot as hell for the 5 days or the 4 nights we were on board
mm,
that ship. It could be cold this time around when we go because typically October is a cold season. So our repositioning cruise we're doing this year now could be very cold on board and we could
mm.
be inside quite a lot more because it may not be warm.
And that's why there's a lot to be said about the Caribbean in February because you know what you're getting.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that
saying that though, they've had a
oh, it
cold snap and currently
yes,
ships are frozen in New York.
yeah, but they do it's always cold in New York, isn't it? But, like, Key West but, yeah, there's snowing in New York, but, I mean, look, we're looking at going September out of New York next year, and
Mm.
I am nervous about it.
You are or you're not, sorry.
I am, because they had hurricanes this year in September on
Yeah.
that coast.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks,
Well,
"Oh."
I was reading a Facebook group, wasn't it? And this is what spiraled our my rant about Facebook groups was somebody was asking about that itinerary out of New York going down to the Caribbean, and they were like, "What's the weather going to be like?" And literally four people replied back with four different answers. And I was like,
Yeah,
"This is why you can't take like a Facebook group or you can't take other people's perspective as the fact because weather can change." Something could happen, medical emergency, something could happen that could totally change your experience on board that ship. And you can't take one person's review and thoughts as gospel, as in that is the only way to do things because there are so
no.
many factors that could change that.
I mean, I'm seeing that cruise as we wanna go to Boston, and we wanna
Yeah.
go so we want to see those places, so that's what but for that one, it is the destination,
Yeah.
definitely.
And this is the thing, and we actually, sorry, this is just spiraling off now as this podcast does, but like Disney and the transatlantic, we keep saying the best cruise we've ever done was our Disney transatlantic back in 2018, and we did from Dover, which Disney don't sail from anymore, and we did across to Canada, and we did like where did we go? New Brunswick. I can't remember the name of the ports now. Halifax, St. John. We did that coast type of thing. And we thoroughly loved those ports. And we were like, oh my God, we can't wait to do this again. But now that they're sending over the Dream class, basically the biggest ships, and now they've just announced this week that the Disney Wish is coming in 2027, all of the transatlantics are going the southern route where it is warmer. Don't get me wrong, you're likely to have better weather than we had, but they're not going to. And we ended in New York, and it was so
Mm,
incredible to be on the Magic, sailing into New York past the Statue of Liberty and
yeah,
docking, right down downtown. That was bucket list iconic cruises. And
yeah.
we keep saying if Disney ever did that transatlantic route again, where it's from the UK to, or even Barcelona to New York, we probably would book it within a dime drop. But for us, the transatlantic going across the southern route and going to the southern islands and ending with very few kind of ports doesn't appeal to us. We don't want to be on a ship for 9 days and do two ports. Whereas that one
Uh,
we did. We had I forgot what it is. Portland, that's the island, sorry, not Falmouth,
Right.
Portland. So we did Portland on our Disney cruise, and we were like, never in a million years we'd ever go there. We had a really nice time type of thing. But then we went across and did all the islands in kind of Canada, and we love that.
No, but I suppose there is because obviously a transatlantic is another one. If the ship is the destination, I really enjoyed transatlantic cruising. But again, you've got to be lucky with the weather. We were lucky, but then if we'd have gone last year, they had terrible weather.
This is the thing that I actually think that I'm a bit of a I need the itinerary to do a transatlantic because I've always thought I would love to do a TA again. We haven't been able to because we've got the dog, and it's hard to kind of commit to that amount of time away with the dog type of thing and not
Mm.
have the option to kind of get back if we needed to. But we've put off doing a TA. But equally, every time we look at doing one, the itinerary is never the itinerary we want to do. We want
Yeah,
to do, as you say, the Canadian coast and go down New England and do that side of it and then do New
yeah.
York. So we want to do it, but equally, we won't book that with Princess offer that route. But this comes back to that. I hate Princess. I don't hate Princess. They're just not my preferred choice if I'm paying for my own cruises type of
Mm.
thing. So I want to do it with someone, and like Virgin have done it recently via Iceland, I want to say. Iceland over to New York. So like Virgin do it, but it's just I haven't picked a TA with them, and there's other reasons why I haven't. But if Disney, at least anyway, were to offer that coast and do that and do more ports on, that was it. That's where I was going with my little tangent earlier that we did delete. They don't offer enough ports are in the transatlantics now. They literally do like one or
Right.
two stops off, and then it's a big chunk. Whereas the one we did, we had a lot of ports, and I think we had 6 days at sea in a row. So it was a case of like now they're doing like 9 days at sea, and you do like one
Mm.
stop either end, an island this and an island that end, and then it's done. And I was like, doesn't appeal to me. I think I need to have a couple of stops off because itinerary does matter still to me when
Mm.
I'm picking a transatlantic.
Yeah, and I think like we had quite a few stops on our one. But that big chunk at sea, and a lot of people say to me I couldn't do that. But I think
Mm,
because I'm self-employed, Chris can work from anywhere with what
yeah,
is business. And I just think we work in the mornings and we relax in the afternoon, and it works for us. And I know you would do that. So I
mm,
think it's almost like you've got the space to do that. So
yeah,
when you go on a holiday, like usually when we go away, Chris is like really stressed trying to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing and organising everything. He doesn't have to do it when we do the transatlantic because he knows that he'll have a couple of
couple of
days
days to
off,
do
a
it.
couple of ports days, but he
Yeah,
knows he can pick up any problems. And for me, the same. I don't get stressed about anything because it's all going to get done because I'll do it in the mornings. And then I love
yeah.
that because we'd go work in the mornings, go for lunch, have wine. So that for us is a destination, I suppose, in itself. But then you know that we're very good at before and after, making a lot of the time in and out of ports.
That's the thing. I think it's just our unique situation where we've had Milo, and unfortunately Milo passed away this week, so things could change now. But where we've had Milo, we just couldn't go away for longer than say 10ish days.
Yeah,
So it's just been a different conversation about why we were picking a cruise type of thing and the itineraries we were doing. We couldn't do those longer ones that had lots of sea days because it felt like, well, we still want to make time in port.
mm,
That conversation could now all change by the end of this year type of thing. We may not be able to do those longer cruises where there are more sea
mm,
days because, as you say, we can now work from ship and we don't have to get back to relieve, childcare with Milo at the moment. And so it could all change, but definitely for us for the last 7 years at least anyway, it hasn't been an option because we want to
yeah,
get that land time or ports at least anyway to make it worthwhile. The idea of just going away and being at sea doesn't appeal to us given the situation we've been in recently, at least anyway. But again,
yeah.
that's that trade-off between ship versus itinerary. And I think if I was to do a TA, itinerary would win out over ship, definitely.
And I think for you as well, and I think you would love, I know that you're saying New York, but I think if you went and got the opportunity to spend time in Universal and Disney and then get on the ship, I think you'd love that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think now that we've got, a bit more flexibility with our time off, it probably will come up now that that could be a way we do it to do.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
always wanted to do a land and sea Florida holiday, but we've never had the time allow us to do that. Whereas, that could all change in the coming years now type of thing.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, you look at our next cruise, and I'm just as excited about the 2 nights in Rome and the stuff we've got planned. And we're going to go
Yeah.
under the Trevi Fountain. I'm
Oh, are
just as
you?
excited about that as the ship. I love Odyssey. I love it. And it's not a daytime ship; it's a nighttime ship, and I love it for that.
Mm,
I've not bought my dining yet, so I think for all those reasons, I've not got as excited about actually being on the ship, but I will. I mean, obviously, Mykonos. I love Mykonos. We're going to get off, have lunch
yeah,
in
I'm
the
very
sun.
jealous.
Can't wait for
Yeah.
that. Santorini, I don't know. I just still don't know.
Are you doing Royal Beach Club? Have you decided yet if you can do it or not?
I just don't know if it's worth it. If
I
you
really
like
want you to do it for
beaches,
my
I
benefit,
know.
just so I can hear from you what it's like.
I keep looking and thinking, I'd be one of the first people to go, but I don't know. I'm just not that bothered about beaches, but I'm curious. I mean, I am curious to see what it's like and to
It's not
see.
cheap, like, it's great value, don't get me wrong, it is great value, I won't begrudge Royal that, but
No,
it's not like just pocket change where you're kinda like, "Oh, if I don't enjoy it," you have to want to enjoy it for how much they're charging.
yeah, I wonder if that includes. Oh no, because it really confuses me with these new charges. Are they included in our cruise, or have we got to pay those extra?
From my memory, you've gotta pay if you decide to get off. It's
Right,
added to your
yeah,
CPAS card if you decide to get off. It
yeah.
depends on
So
cruise lines, that's why it's really tricky, but Royal, I seem to remember an email, if you get off, you charge
yeah.
the local taxes.
So then it's not that just the trip, is it? You've also got to pay to just get off the ship.
Yeah.
So for Mykonos,
Yeah.
I feel like it's worth it. Santorini. I, do, I mean, when you watch Laura's videos and her experience in Santorini, yeah, if you want to go to Santorini, go and look at Laura. Don't look at me because she had a really good experience and did it all really well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it helped. But Jack had a hypo, so it was just like
No.
the gods were against us that day. So we'll see. We will see. But I've, we've got we're going to Mary's house in Turkey, so that's a full day trip. Um,
What's Mary's house?
the Virgin
Mary
Mary.
Magdalene? Oh,
No, it's the
okay.
Virgin Mary, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it's Mary. Mary, Joseph, Mary.
Joseph, you know.
Yeah, yeah, Mary and Joseph. Jesus'
You know the one.
mum.
You know the
I'm sure.
Oh,
I
that
hope it
Mary.
is because that's where I think I'm going. So it better be. Um, so I've booked a tour for that. So then I think, well, I do like a day when everybody gets off the ship. So I think that might be it.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm struggling with the adventure is like nobody's getting off.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have that day where like at least I get some of the ship to myself. I'm gonna have to get up at like 4 a.m. to film the ship.
And the nice thing about that is you'll get up, you'll have brunch because it'll be a brunch day because it's late and I love brunch on Royal Caribbean. So I'll get up, have my mimosa, my eggs Benedict, some fruit, and then we'll go for our walk and then everybody will be getting off. And then by the time we've finished our walk, empty pool.
Yeah. Well, do you get
Girl will be down
every
at the beach
single
club,
cruise I'm booking this year, right? Not a single one of them is a cruise where there's a skippable port day. Every
isn't it?
single one of them is because, yeah, Alaska, we have booked excursions at every single port. We are off the second that
But you
ship
can't
gets in.
sunbathe, can you? You can't sunbathe
No,
on a. Not that
but
we
it's things
sunbathe, we
like
sit in the sun. There's a difference, isn't there? Because I'm in the shade under an umbrella with a book,
outside,
dark
like,
glasses,
but
and a hat. But it's a feeling the warmth on my northern skin.
that's the bit that I'm a bit worried about with all the cruises we've got booked. We haven't really booked any that allow just relaxing and is in slowing down those days where, as you say, everyone else gets off and you get on. Because even like the Spectrum cruise in November, the two ports, Busan and Jeju, are ports I can't wait to get off and explore because I've never been there and probably not really going to go back there either. So I'm like, we're going to be out exploring, seeing them type of thing.
Mm,
Obviously, the adventure, nobody gets off. So while I will be relaxing and enjoying the ship, there's going to be 5,000 other people doing the same
mm.
type of thing. So I'm a little bit apprehensive about how busy it's going to be around key areas type of thing. And equally, Alaska, we've booked excursions for every single port. So we are going to be off that ship more than we're on it. So it's going to be an interesting year because we don't normally do cruises this way.
But I think it's different because some people would be outraged that I'm wasting a day and spending it on the ship.
Mm,
But
no,
for me, that's valuable time that I just get to enjoy the ship when it's quieter. And I do it on every cruise. Some people wouldn't dream of doing it. Some people
no.
only get off once.
I
So,
did in the fjords. I think when we did the fjords with Disney, I stayed on the ship one day. A, because it was bucketing down and I was sick of being wet, but also
mm,
I was hungover. I was very hungover. I was like, got some work to do, Phil. I can't face getting off the ship. So I did stay on the ship, but it wasn't quite one of those sit and enjoy the ship because it was just raining all the day. But I quite enjoyed that little bit of breathing room just to really take in the ship and explore a
yeah,
bit. And I think I did some of my filming that day then when I was a bit, my footage isn't the best because I'm a little
yeah.
bit hungover, shaky type of thing. But I did enjoy having at least one day. But a lot of people stayed on because it was so wet, or they went off and come straight back on.
Yeah, which isn't any fun, is it? And that could
Mm,
happen in the Med, couldn't it? It could happen anywhere. So
yeah,
it's I think that happened on our not Odyssey, Allure cruise last year, Rome. But we didn't go into Rome because the Pope had died, and I just thought,
yeah,
as much as I loved the Pope, I just think I'm not Catholic, and I think that you don't want to take up space of Catholics, and plus it would have been
yeah,
chaos.
yep,
Um,
yep.
and it was drizzly, so we sat, we worked, we went in the vintages and had wine, had tapas. It was lovely. So
Mm.
I also really value that time as well.
Oh, totally. No, it's a big perk, and it's the reason why the Med, especially, and the Caribbean is so great because majority of people do get off.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
do get to enjoy the ship type thing. I love my Virgin Med sailings for that reason, and I keep saying about it because the Americans get off and they explore hard. They're off doing all the ports and everything. The ship's pretty much to yourself on port days in the Med with
Mm,
Virgin, especially. And I can imagine Royal's probably the same, isn't it? Because it's going to be majority Americans as well who are going to want to go off and explore. So,
yeah.
choosing one day to skip, you're going to have the majority of the ship to yourself to enjoy.
And it looks like that cruise is almost full that we're on.
Probably. I think what was the figure they told me? I think I saw a figure that Royal are 2/3 full for this year already. I think it is something like that. So across the whole, bear in mind they've got 30 ships sailing. They're 75% full for the whole year already, and we're in the second month of the year.
So we're going May. Obviously, the kids aren't off school when we're going. So it must
Yeah,
it must be well, it's got to be couples, and there must be Americans come over because obviously they have spring
yeah,
break. They're off for ages, aren't they?
yeah.
So maybe there's a lot of American families coming over. But yeah, I looked the other day and really busy.
It's something Royal have always been very confident in saying to me. They were like, you need to get people in early because our ships sell out. We do sell out. She said, we're very confident in it. She said, we work very hard to do that, but our ships do
Mm.
sell out. So, availability is limited and you need to get in there sooner rather than later. To some extent, Disney's the same. Last year was a bit odd, but Disney's the same as well. Disney will sell out or get close to selling out, and they do very aggressive fluid pricing. So the earlier you book, the better your price with Disney.
I was just going to say that our cruise has doubled. Teresa's has more than doubled. We booked a balcony. She's booked two insides. Hers is over doubled, and ours is just under double. Because I said to her, I said, you need to do a Royal Up because obviously there can't be many of them cabins left if they're over double.
Definitely. I find Royal's prices will always go up. You're really going to lose out on Royal. I don't get asked. I get asked quite a lot by customers to reprice their cruises. I really get asked by Royal because it's rare prices between booking to sailing. If you book kind of early, you're really going to miss out. We haven't. I dread to think what my Legend sailing is currently at actually for this year. I bet you it's probably close to $5,000 and we paid about 3 for ours.
Oh, let's have a look at the one we booked. Have a look at that.
You know how we're both
Because
instinctively straight in there to like, let me just log in and see how much.
they
It's
do
our
go up,
favourite
don't
game to
they?
play, isn't it?
Yeah. How much have I saved by booking early? I do love doing that.
Where am I now? I'm trying to find this year's. I've got next year's Legend. This year's Legend. Like, how many times you on Legend, Kieran? Like once or twice. So I've got a D4 and I paid about £3,000 for mine. There is no D4 available. A D5 is available and it's starting at £4,113 at the
Is that
moment for a
this year?
That's this year's voyage. So my one this year. I did book it, I think, 2 days after it went on sale. And I think we did as well. We booked about a week within the first week of it going on sale for ours as well. So I'm currently £1,000 minimum better off already because I booked early and there's a few, but there's not a lot of cabins left. There's more than I thought there would be, but there's not a lot. But my category sold out. So I think D4 is higher than a D5 off the top of my head.
Right.
I think it goes that way. I can't remember which way around their codes go. But I'm pretty sure I'm in a better category and it's about £1,000 cheaper. For our sailing, do you remember what one we're on next year? I can't remember, sorry. Yeah, we're in mid-May, so our sailing, and we paid about the same I paid because we booked early, so we were about 3-ish grand. Well, I love how I don't know how much we paid for our cruises. I just booked
2,800. 2,800.
and I think I'm in the exact same cabin because I'm literally, weirdly, I've booked the exact same cabin that I'm in. So at the moment, I don't think we're much better. Oh, actually, no, we are. So a D4 now on our sailing in May next year is now £4,000. So we're already £1,000 better off on our May sailing than we. So
Wow. That's bonkers.
it's one thing that I'm quietly confident with Disney Royal and to some extent Celebrity as well. Booking early, you're really going to be worse off. Really going to be worse off.
It's definitely worth booking in advance, isn't it?
So, guys, I know that's been a bit of a vague chat, but I think it is a really important conversation to have, and it's a difficult one that only you can answer. I know we haven't really given any tips on what to do and what to look out for, but I think we've given some good examples of when sometimes you kind of choose for itinerary or sometimes you choose for ship. I think, like, if you listen to this, let us know in the comments or send us a message to let us know kind of like, what do you do? What's important to you? Are you a ship person and you love your favorite ship and you'll go wherever that ship's going? Or are you somebody who's kind of like, no, I need the itinerary? And I think I'm between the two, and I'm a fine line between the two. That sometimes the ship will tip me over, and I'll go on the ship because I prefer the ship and sacrifice the itinerary a little bit. But equally as well, though, there is a limit I now have whereby I have to have a ship that I like. I don't know about you, Sarah. Do you feel? I feel like you're more of a ship person, really. But
Yeah, I'm more of a ship person, definitely. But then sometimes I let others choose because I just go with the flow. So that's where I end up sometimes on other. But yeah, I'm definitely more of a ship person, and I think that's changed more and more as I've progressed, as I've been on the bigger ships.
I think you'd put your foot down though if there was a ship that you just did not want to go on. I think you
Oh
would be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
absolutely not.
yeah.
I think that you have a limit of kind of like no matter what the itinerary is. I think you're similar to me, whereby it's like, actually, no, that's not going to work. Even if the itinerary is a dream, I don't think I would do that. I feel like
No,
anyway. Obviously,
no, loyal to royal, and yeah, and celebrity. I like celebrity, but yeah, I know what I like, and
Mm,
that's what I plan round. And even now to planning travel, I think going forward, I'm going to plan trips and say to people, if you want to come, you can come. But
yeah,
I find it frustrating letting other people choose because, of course, you've got to let other people choose if you travel with them. So
yeah.
I've now planned to let people travel with me and not the other way around,
Yeah.
so I can
That's how I've been,
choose.
to be honest. I'm like, I'm booking
Yeah,
this. Do you want to come with me or
yeah.
not?
Come on, don't. Up to you.
Well, guys, if you ever are interested in just help having a hand in working out that conversation anyway, of working out, what is the right fit for you, whether it's itinerary or ship, and you want to just bounce ideas off, I am always available. You can find me anywhere online under magical-traveler.com or all my social media if you want to follow me. By the time this episode goes out, I will be setting off just about now to our trip to China, the Disney Adventure, and Singapore. So you want to see what that's like, by all means, follow me on Instagram. It's under magical TRVLR. And Sarah, I know you have a ton of guides and information online as well. Where's the best place the guys can find you?
All our reviews are over on Mini Travellers, and it's not just cruise, it's also land-based holidays. And if you check out we've got Mini Travellers over on TikTok and Extraordinary Chaos on Instagram, where I just share everything now. So cruise, homes, travel, and it's just a bit of everything, because just because we like travelling doesn't mean we don't have lives.
Amazing. Brilliant. Other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.